The alien fleet hung silently above Earth, a vast army of dark, metallic ships that blotting out the sun over the oceans and cities. Their shapes were strange and angular, glowing faintly with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Commander Vrax, the alien leader, observed the blue planet with cold amusement. From his high command bridge, he could see humans running below, tiny and fragile in his eyes. He laughed, a deep, resonant sound that shook the metal of his flagship. "These humans are weak. They will fall before us without a fight," he said to his officers. They chirped and hissed in agreement, confident in their victory. On Earth, the mood was tense but determined. Captain James stood on the deck of the old warship Defender, looking up at the sky. The ship was worn, its paint faded and chipped, and the weapons were outdated compared to the alien technology, but James did not flinch. Around him, his crew moved with quiet efficiency, checking systems, loading energy shields, and readying weapons. The humans were outmatched, but they had one thing the aliens did not fully understand: heart. Emma, a young but talented pilot, paced near the control panels, her brown hair tied back tightly. Her eyes scanned the skies as alien ships glinted in the distance. She clenched her fists and muttered under her breath, "They think we can't fight. Let's show them what humans can do." Her voice was firm, filled with courage that seemed to ripple through the small group. James nodded at her. "We will fight smart. We may be small, but we are not helpless. Remember that." As the alien ships descended closer to the planet, their massive beams of energy lighting the clouds, humans scrambled to take positions. Fighter jets roared into the sky, old but fast. Emma climbed into her craft, feeling the hum of the engine beneath her. Around her, other pilots followed the same determined rhythm, hearts pounding but spirits high. Daniel, a weapons officer, monitored the energy readings of the aliens' fleet. "Their shields are strong but not perfect," he reported. "If we can find the weak points, we can strike." Lucy, the communications officer, tapped into alien signals and began translating. "They're overconfident," she said. "They don't expect resistance. That's our advantage." The first clash began above the Pacific, where alien ships floated like a dark storm cloud. They fired their energy beams without hesitation, expecting humans to scatter or surrender. The beams struck the water below with explosive force, sending up clouds of steam and fire. But the humans did not panic. Pilots twisted and turned their crafts with sharp, unexpected maneuvers. Emma darted between the alien beams, firing precise energy bolts from her cannons. A bolt hit an alien scout ship, causing it to wobble and spin out of control. Below, on the surface, people watched in awe and fear as the sky lit up with streaks of light. Some ran for cover, others pointed upward, unable to believe the humans were fighting back. James remained calm, directing his forces with careful precision. "Keep moving. Watch the gaps in their formation. Strike when they hesitate," he instructed. Each order was met with determination, each pilot and crew member pushing beyond their fear. Vrax watched from his bridge, his eyes widening in disbelief. His claws tapped rhythmically against the console. They are resisting," he said almost to himself. The alien officers around him were confused, muttering and gesturing urgently. They had never seen a species fight with such determination, combining courage, teamwork, and clever tactics. The humans dodged attacks, countered with quick strikes, and never broke formation. Every move was precise, almost like they were dancing through the deadly storm. Emma felt a surge of pride as she led a squadron in a daring attack on one of the alien carriers. The ship was massive, glowing with strange symbols, but the humans had learned its patterns. She and two other pilots approached from above, dodging beams and weaving through debris from destroyed ships. With perfect timing, Emma fired at the carrier's engine nodes. Sparks flew, the ship shuddered, and alarms blared across the alien fleet. "Direct hit," she shouted over the radio. James responded immediately, sending reinforcements to finish the maneuver. The humans worked as one, each move complementing the next. On the alien flagship, Vrax slammed his claw against the console. "Impossible," he roared. "How can such weak creatures fight with such skill? They should not survive this." His officers whispered among themselves, fear creeping into their voices. For the first time, they questioned their leader's confidence. These humans were unlike any other species they had encountered. They were adaptable, clever, and relentless. On the ground, scientists and engineers like Daniel and Lucy worked tirelessly to support the pilots. They monitored energy shields, rerouted power to weak spots, and adjusted weapons in real time. Every human contributed, from soldiers to engineers to civilians helping with logistics. It was not just a fight of firepower, it was a fight of minds, strategy, and spirit. Emma's ship weaved through the battlefield, narrowly avoiding a massive alien energy blast. She fired again, this time hitting another scout vessel. The ship exploded in a brilliant flare of light, sending fragments scattering across the dark sky. Around her, other human pilots were doing the same, striking where the aliens were weakest, dodging where the aliens expected to hit. It was chaotic yet precise, and it left Vrax stunned. Hours passed, but the humans did not falter. Even with exhaustion and damage, they pressed on, using every advantage they had discovered in the short fight. James coordinated from the Defender, issuing calm, steady instructions that kept hope alive. Emma felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but she did not hesitate. Every action mattered. Every small victory counted. By the end of the day, the alien fleet began to withdraw, shocked and frustrated. Vrax retreated to his command bridge, growling and pacing. They should be crushed. Why did they fight back? His officers exchanged worried looks. The humans had survived, had resisted, and had shown signs of clever tactics and bravery that the aliens could not ignore. Earth was no longer a weak, defenseless planet. Below, the humans cheered, though tired and battered. Ships had been damaged, lives lost, but the spirit of resistance had triumphed. Emma climbed out of her craft, wiping sweat from her brow. She looked at the horizon where alien ships slowly disappeared. "We showed them," she whispered to James. "We are not weak." James nodded, pride shining in his eyes. "No, we are human. And today they learned something they will never forget." Even as night fell, the sky remained filled with a sense of triumph. The humans had fought back against impossible odds, proving to themselves and the universe that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the greatest threat. Commander Vrax would remember this day, and the humans would remember that their fight had only just begun. The battle had spread far beyond the oceans, moving into cities and across the skies where skyscrapers once stood tall and proud. Alien ships hovered over metropolises, their shadows covering the streets below. Energy beams struck buildings, shattering glass and sending clouds of dust into the air. Yet the humans did not retreat. They had learned quickly that fear would only make them weak. Captain James and his crew knew that strategy and courage could win battles even against superior technology. In underground command centers, engineers like Daniel and Lucy worked without pause. They modified weapons, repaired damaged ships, and found new ways to strike back at the alien fleet. Daniel had already spent hours recalibrating the human energy cannons, making them more accurate and powerful. Lucy tapped into alien communication channels, translating messages that revealed the enemy's weaknesses. "We can use their own signals against them," she said, eyes shining with determination. Their hands moved quickly over controls and circuits, working together as a team. Even when alarms rang and explosions shook the room, they stayed focused. On the surface, human squads organized to protect key cities. Fighter jets, old warships, and small experimental crafts moved in coordinated patterns, striking at alien ships when they were vulnerable. Emma led a squadron of pilots through the smoke-filled sky, maneuvering past debris and fire. Her heart raced, but she kept her focus. Beside her, James directed the movements of the fleet, his voice steady over the comms. "Watch the gaps between their ships. Timing is everything," he said. The pilots followed, trusting his guidance, striking with precision where the aliens had least expected resistance. One mission became the turning point. Emma and James were tasked with a daring raid on an alien scout ship that had been gathering intelligence near the coast. The ship was smaller than the massive carriers above, but heavily shielded and armed with rapid-firing weapons. The squadron approached cautiously, dodging energy beams that seared the air around them. Emma's fingers danced over the controls as she guided her ship closer. "On my mark," she whispered. Around her, the other pilots waited, tense but ready. With perfect timing, they struck. Energy bolts hit the scout ship's engines, causing sparks and flames to erupt from its hull. The ship wobbled, struggling to maintain control. Emma maneuvered alongside it, and James fired the final disabling shot, sending the vessel spinning helplessly through the sky. The humans had done it. They had outsmarted a ship that the aliens considered untouchable. "They never thought humans could outsmart them," James whispered as they watched the ship drift, systems failing, unable to escape. Emma allowed herself a brief smile, feeling a rush of victory. As the humans celebrated small wins, the alien fleet began to falter. Commander Vrax paced on his bridge, his claws tapping anxiously against the control panel. His officers argued among themselves, pointing at data streams and holographic images of the humans' clever maneuvers. "These humans are different," one hissed, worry creeping into the usual tone of command. "They fight with heart, not just technology." Vrax's eyes narrowed, his face twisting in anger. "Heart? How can heart matter against our weapons? They should be crushed." Yet he could not deny it. His ships were being damaged, his scouts captured, and his soldiers confused by the humans' unexpected tactics. On Earth, the humans were gaining confidence with every small victory. Pilots like Emma moved with a mix of fear and exhilaration, dodging attacks and hitting critical targets. Engineers like Daniel worked tirelessly to maintain their weapons, while Lucy's translation of alien messages allowed the humans to anticipate attacks before they happened. Every action reinforced a truth that the aliens had ignored: humans were clever, adaptable, and determined. Across the skies, human forces launched coordinated strikes against alien supply lines. Small groups of ships worked together to isolate enemy units, cut off reinforcements, and force retreat. One human pilot, Michael, maneuvered through enemy fire to disable a shield generator on a larger alien cruiser. Sparks flew and the cruiser slowed, its defenses weakened. Michael felt fear clawing at his chest, but he focused on his mission, pressing forward. The humans had no choice but to be brave, and bravery became their greatest weapon. Meanwhile, on Earth's ground, civilians contributed in ways the aliens had never imagined. Engineers adapted commercial drones to deliver supplies to frontline ships. Students and scientists provided intelligence on alien strategies, and local defense teams worked tirelessly to repair damaged infrastructure. Even small actions, when multiplied across thousands of people, made a difference. Daniel looked around the control center, exhausted but proud. "Every single person matters," he said quietly. Lucy nodded, adjusting a communication relay. "Yes. Together we can keep fighting." In space, Emma's squadron discovered a pattern in the alien ships' movements. They were slow to adapt, expecting humans to be predictable. Instead, Emma and her pilots performed daring maneuvers, using the terrain of clouds, smoke, and city structures to hide and strike. Each successful attack damaged the aliens' confidence and forced them to react in panic. James coordinated the fleet from above a cloud-covered city, issuing orders calmly and clearly. "Split into 3 groups. Focus on the left flank. They won't expect a counter there." The humans moved like a single organism, precise and united. The aliens' morale began to crumble. Vrax's top commanders argued bitterly. "We cannot win," one admitted quietly, though no one wanted to hear it. "These humans, they are not just fighters, they are thinkers. They are unpredictable. We cannot control them like we do other species." Vrax's claws tightened over his console. "We will adapt," he growled. "We must crush them before they learn more." But deep inside he could feel doubt creeping in. The humans had shown ingenuity and bravery the likes of which his fleet had never seen. At night, the skies still burned with battle, but humans celebrated their small victories. On board the Defender, James gathered his officers. "Every ship we save, every strike we make, it counts," he said. Emma sat beside him, exhausted, watching holographic displays of the alien fleet. "We've proven that we can fight them," she said. "And not just fight, we can win." The team nodded, their determination renewed despite the fatigue. By the time the first day of the extended conflict ended, the humans had achieved more than survival. They had sent a message. Earth was no longer a planet to be conquered without resistance. They had intelligence, strategy, courage, and heart. They had worked together, each human contributing to the greater goal. The aliens, once arrogant and confident, now hesitated. They had underestimated a species they believed would crumble before them. Commander Vrax, staring at the damage reports and the lost ships, finally realized the truth. "Humans are different," he muttered. Fear, a sensation almost unknown to him, prickled at his mind. "They fight in ways we cannot predict. They do not panic. They do not surrender. And somehow, they win." Across his fleet, confusion spread, giving the humans time to regroup, repair, and plan their next attacks. Emma, James, Daniel, and Lucy looked toward the horizon from their command station. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, they knew they could change the course of it. Humans had discovered that strategy, unity, and courage were as powerful as any alien weapon. They had shown that even against overwhelming odds, a determined species could fight back, and in doing so, they had begun to earn a reputation across the stars. The alien fleet hovered uncertainly, unable to fully recover from the humans' clever attacks. Ships limped back to regroup, and commanders whispered to each other in worry and fear. On Earth, humans repaired, trained, and prepared for the next engagement, each individual knowing that their actions mattered. Together, they were becoming more than survivors. They were becoming a force that the galaxy could no longer ignore. The humans were no longer on the defensive. After days of fighting and learning the patterns of the alien fleet, they had gained confidence. Captain James called a meeting with Emma, Daniel, Lucy, and the other key officers on the Defender. "We have their weaknesses," he said, pointing to the holographic map of the alien ships. "Now it's time to take the fight to them." The team nodded, their determination renewed. They had learned that speed, cleverness, and unity could turn the tide, even against the massive alien vessels. Lucy worked tirelessly in the control center, coordinating the human fleet with precision. Screens flashed with information, tracking the positions of every ship, human and alien alike. "We'll strike in 3 groups," she said, her fingers moving rapidly over the control panel. "One from the north, one from the south, and the third, Emma's squadron, will strike from above." Her voice was calm, but every word carried urgency. The humans trusted her calculations. They knew the alien fleet's movements were predictable only if they acted fast and together. Daniel was busy at another console, hacking alien systems. With his knowledge of their communication and navigation networks, he sent small false signals, confusing enemy sensors and shields. Alien ships turned or fired at empty space, while humans exploited the openings. "They'll never see this coming," Daniel muttered, a small smile forming as an enemy cruiser slowed unexpectedly. Every human action, from piloting to hacking to coordinating, was part of a single, focused effort to strike back against the overwhelming alien power. Emma led her squadron into the heart of the battle. The stars were filled with streaks of light from weapons fire and explosions. Alien ships, huge and intimidating, loomed above her, yet she did not falter. Her hands moved swiftly over the controls, her eyes fixed on her target, Vrax's flagship. It was larger than any other ship, glowing with strange, red energy, and surrounded by smaller fighters. The alien commander's confidence was clear. He expected no human to challenge him. "Target in sight," Emma reported to James. "Ready for the strike." James' calm voice came over the comms. "Take the lead, Emma. We're following your moves. Focus on the weak points we identified." Emma nodded, her mind sharp and focused. The battle had taught her to anticipate, to think several moves ahead, like a chess player facing a dangerous opponent. As she approached the flagship, Vrax appeared on the holographic screens, mocking her. "Foolish human," he hissed, his voice echoing across space. "You think you can harm me?" Emma clenched her jaw and maneuvered her ship through a narrow gap between energy beams. She fired a series of precise blasts, hitting the engines and weapon nodes. Sparks erupted across the alien hull. The flagship shuddered, alarms blaring as systems failed. Vrax's roar of disbelief echoed across the fleet. "Impossible," he shouted. How can humans fight like this? They are not weak." Around him, his officers scrambled to repair the damage, but the humans had already moved on, striking again and again with speed and precision. Emma's squadron weaved through space, avoiding attacks and delivering powerful, focused strikes. Every hit weakened the alien fleet and gave humans a growing confidence they had never felt before. Meanwhile, other parts of the human fleet attacked alien supply ships and reinforcements. Small, fast crafts darted through openings, striking before the aliens could react. Michael led one such team, dodging energy beams and targeting vital systems. Each victory, no matter how small, added to the sense of purpose and courage that defined the humans. They were no longer desperate survivors, they were attackers, leaders in their own right. Back on Earth, Lucy monitored every move. Her voice directed the fleet, giving updates, coordinating attacks, and warning of incoming enemy fire. "South Wing, change formation. They're trying to trap you," she called. The pilots followed her instructions without hesitation. Daniel continued to hack enemy communications, feeding false orders that disrupted alien coordination. "Keep them guessing," he said. "We control the battlefield if they think they control it." As the battle raged on, news began to spread across the galaxy. Other alien species, previously indifferent to Earth, began to take notice. They had believed that humans were weak, a minor species with no power to influence the greater galactic balance. Now, reports of human victories spread quickly. Entire fleets of aliens paused to observe, shocked that a single planet could produce such determined resistance. Rumors of humans outsmarting larger, more powerful alien ships circulated through interstellar networks. Emma continued her assault on Vrax's flagship. She dodged a barrage of energy beams that could have destroyed her ship in a single hit. Her movements were precise, her reactions sharp. She had learned the alien patterns and adapted to their timing. Another well-placed shot hit the main engine core, causing the massive ship to lurch violently. Sparks and fire lit the darkness of space. Vrax's confidence was shaken. He had never faced an enemy that moved so freely, so boldly, and yet so strategically. James and the rest of the squadron attacked alongside her, hitting weak points identified by Lucy's calculations. Each strike forced the alien ships to divert energy to defense, leaving openings for further human attacks. They were no longer struggling, they were dictating the flow of battle. Even the massive alien fleet could not adapt quickly enough to counter the human speed, coordination, and intelligence. Vrax's frustration grew with each passing moment. His arrogance, once unshakable, had begun to crack. Humans, they should not survive, he muttered, pacing across his command deck. They are reckless, but effective. How can such weak creatures possess such strength? His officers exchanged worried glances, realizing that the humans' combination of strategy, courage, and teamwork was more than just survival, it was a threat. On Earth, humans watched the reports from satellites and drones. Cities were still under threat, but the humans' counterattacks gave hope. Citizens repaired infrastructure, transported supplies, and aided the fleet in any way they could. The fight was not only in space, it was everywhere. Every person, every pilot, every engineer contributed to the defense and the counterattack. The planet itself seemed to rally behind its defenders, a symbol of resilience that no alien had anticipated. Emma's squadron finished the attack, forcing Vrax to retreat temporarily. The flagship was damaged and vulnerable, and the alien morale had dropped significantly. The humans had proven that they could strike back effectively, even at the heart of the enemy's power. "We did it," Emma whispered to James over the comms. "We're making them rethink everything." James smiled, pride and relief in his eyes. "Yes. And this is only the beginning. They will remember the humans of Earth." Across the galaxy, messages about the humans spread quickly. Alien species that had never considered Earth important now watched carefully. Reports described humans using clever tactics, showing bravery, and refusing to surrender even when faced with overwhelming odds. Their victories, though small compared to the size of the alien fleet, had a ripple effect. News of their courage inspired others, and for the first time humans were no longer seen as a minor species. They were becoming a force that demanded attention. At night, the battle paused briefly. Emma and James, along with Daniel and Lucy, surveyed the results. The sky was scarred with smoke and debris, but the humans had gained an important victory. They had learned that their strength did not come from superior technology alone. It came from cleverness, courage, and unity. The aliens had expected humans to cower or surrender, but instead they fought with heart and intelligence. Commander Vrax returned to his bridge, defeated and frustrated. He studied the damage reports, shaking his massive head. "These humans, they are not like any species we have faced," he said. His officers, normally calm and obedient, whispered among themselves. Fear, a strange new emotion, had entered the minds of the alien leaders. For the first time they faced uncertainty. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and powerful in ways they could not fully understand. Emma, James, Daniel, and Lucy looked toward the stars from their control station on Earth. The fight was far from over, but the humans had proven something crucial. They could challenge the aliens, strike with precision, and survive even the most dangerous encounters. Across the galaxy, humans were gaining a reputation. They were no longer just defenders, they were warriors, strategists, and a force to be respected. The battle had shown the universe that humans were not weak. Their counterattack had shifted the balance, forcing aliens to reconsider their assumptions. Earth had become a symbol of cleverness, courage, and unity, and the humans who fought for it were its champions. The stars themselves seemed to watch, marking the rise of a species that had learned to fight back against all odds. The battles continued across the skies and oceans, but the humans were no longer only defending, they had begun to understand the aliens in ways no one had expected. While pilots like Emma and Michael fought with courage, engineers and scientists on Earth studied alien technology and patterns. Daniel had been monitoring alien signals, and slowly he realized something important. Some of the alien factions were not fully aligned with Vrax's aggressive plans. They were hesitant, even cautious, and they could be reached. Lucy worked quickly to develop a system that could communicate with these alien factions. Using a combination of language decoding, symbols, and energy patterns, she began sending messages that were simple but clear. The first attempts were small, warnings to avoid human ships, messages to show that some attacks were unnecessary. Then, they began sharing information about their strategies and even about humans themselves. "We're showing them that we are not just fighters," Lucy explained to James. "We are thinkers. We plan. We adapt." On the battlefield, this new communication began to have effects. Some alien ships hesitated, breaking formation or holding fire. Alien commanders whispered urgently among themselves, confused by the humans' unexpected messages. For the first time, humans were not only surviving, they were influencing the enemy. Emma noticed the change during a reconnaissance flight. "Some ships are holding back," she said. "They're listening, or maybe they're afraid of what we might do next." James nodded. "This is our chance. We can show that humans are more than just survivors." Small victories began to multiply. Humans shared tactics, coordinated movements, and even warned certain alien groups of dangers from their own side. These aliens who had assumed humans were weak, started to rethink their position. They observed humans leading attacks with intelligence and planning, not just brute force. Slowly, a new understanding emerged. Humans were capable of leadership, strategy, and diplomacy all at once. They were not a species to be underestimated. On Earth, James addressed his crew with pride. "We are showing the galaxy that humans are not to be ignored. We fight for Earth, yes, but also for respect," he said. His crew, tired but determined, nodded in agreement. Emma stood nearby, watching him with a small smile. She thought about the journey they had taken, from terrified pilots facing a seemingly unstoppable fleet, to a coordinated force capable of outsmarting and outmaneuvering the enemy. Even with smaller numbers and older technology, humans had forced the aliens to reconsider everything they thought they knew about Earth and its people. Meanwhile, Vrax's arrogance began to falter. He paced across the bridge of his flagship, scanning reports and analyzing the humans' actions. His massive claws tapped anxiously against the control console. How can they be so relentless?" he growled. "They fight together. They plan. They adapt. And some of my own fleet, they hesitate because of them?" His officers exchanged nervous glances, whispering urgently. The humans had introduced something they could not understand fully: courage combined with intelligence and unity. Vrax's fear began to replace his usual confidence. Emma continued to fly missions, leading squadrons with precision. Each engagement became more than a fight, it became a lesson in human ingenuity. Using both strategy and communication, humans managed to minimize losses while still striking at alien forces. They had learned to use the environment, weather patterns, and even the alien ship's own weaknesses to their advantage. Michael led a team to disable an alien supply convoy, while Emma's squadron struck at the command ships. Every move was calculated, every success celebrated. On the alien side, whispers of fear spread quickly. Some factions had begun to question Vrax's leadership. "Humans are different," one alien officer admitted quietly. "They are not just survivors. They are leaders, warriors, and thinkers. How can we defeat them if they continue like this?" Another nodded, unease written across his alien features. "We underestimated them. Big mistake." The realization spread: humans were not a species to conquer easily. They had spirit, strategy, and unity, all things the aliens had never fully respected. On Earth, humans were also learning. They were adapting to the realities of galactic warfare while keeping their humanity intact. Families supported soldiers, scientists devised better strategies, and pilots pushed themselves beyond limits. Every small action mattered, from repairing a ship's engine in the middle of an attack to sending warning signals to other ships. Daniel worked on hacking alien drones, while Lucy maintained the communication network that had become vital to their growing influence. Emma flew above the skies during one battle, her eyes scanning for threats. The alien ships had changed. Some hesitated, unsure whether to attack or retreat. She could feel the shift. The humans were no longer seen as prey but as equals in cunning and resolve. When she returned to the Defender, James looked at her with pride. "You can see it, can't you?" he asked. Emma nodded. "They respect us, or at least they fear underestimating us again." The alien fleet, once confident and seemingly invincible, now moved cautiously. Vrax tried to rally his forces, but even he could not ignore the changes. Some of his own officers were reluctant to strike without clear orders. The humans had introduced unpredictability into the battlefield, and unpredictability was a dangerous force in any war. Vrax's fear grew every day, replacing the arrogance he had once worn like armor. Even as battles raged, humans did not forget their principles. They fought bravely but also intelligently. They avoided unnecessary casualties and looked for ways to communicate rather than destroy when possible. This dual approach, courage in battle, wisdom and strategy began to earn them allies. Some alien species that had remained neutral now reached out cautiously, curious about humans' abilities and values. Humans had shown not just strength but leadership, and leadership was a trait even alien civilizations respected. James gathered his team again to plan the next stage of their campaign. "We are not just fighting to survive," he said. "We are showing the galaxy what humans are capable of. Each mission, each victory, each decision matters. We are changing how the universe sees us." Emma, Daniel, Lucy, and Michael all understood. Every choice they made could inspire humans and aliens alike. Even small victories carried enormous significance. Vrax, meanwhile, was consumed by frustration and fear. Every human success chipped away at his confidence. He had never faced an enemy that could fight relentlessly, adapt quickly, and influence others at the same time. The humans' unity and bravery were unprecedented, and it left him questioning everything he had known about strategy, power, and control. He realized with a growing sense of dread that humans were no ordinary species. They were dangerous not because of the size of their ships, but because of the size of their courage and intelligence. Emma and her squadron launched another mission, this time coordinating with the newly cautious alien factions. Using clever tactics, they managed to disable a supply chain and force a partial retreat of enemy ships. Humans cheered over comms, not just for the success but for the fact that their careful planning and communication had worked. Even small victories became symbols of hope and evidence of human ingenuity. The humans on Earth celebrated quietly. Not in arrogance but in pride. They had discovered something fundamental. Their strength was not only in technology or numbers, but in unity, intelligence, and courage. They had shown that even a smaller force could change the course of battle through determination and clever thinking. Emma watched the sunset from the deck of the Defender, thinking about the battles fought, the risks taken, and the lives saved. Humans had come a long way in a short time. Across the galaxy, whispers of respect for humans spread. Other species began to record their victories, study their tactics, and even consider alliances. The humans of Earth were no longer ignored or dismissed. They had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, unity, intelligence, and courage could command attention and respect. Vrax's fear had fully taken root. He no longer laughed at humans. He no longer assumed victory. Every encounter reminded him of their unpredictable bravery and relentless drive. Humans were united, clever, and courageous in ways he could not fully comprehend. The arrogance that had once guided him was gone, replaced by caution, and even fear. On Earth, James addressed his crew one last time before the next major engagement. "We fight for Earth," he said, "but we also fight for the respect of all who watch us. Humans are not to be underestimated. We are leaders, warriors, and thinkers. The galaxy is learning that now." Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. Even with smaller numbers, even with older technology, humans had made the aliens rethink everything. They had changed the way the universe would view Earth forever. The stars themselves seemed to watch, witnessing the rise of a species that had proven that courage, unity, and intelligence could stand against even the greatest threats. Humanity was no longer just surviving. Humanity was becoming a leader in the galaxy. The final confrontation had begun. The human fleet moved as one, surrounding Vrax's massive flagship in a calculated formation that left the aliens little room to maneuver. Every ship, every pilot, every engineer, and every strategist had played a part in this moment. From the worn warships to the fastest fighter crafts, the humans were united in a way the aliens could not fully understand. Captain James stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching the enemy ships loom against the backdrop of stars. "This is it," he said calmly. "Stay focused, watch each other's backs, and remember what we've learned. Strategy, courage, and precision will win this fight." Emma gripped the controls of her fighter, her eyes scanning the massive flagship before her. It seemed almost impossibly large, glowing with red and purple energy, bristling with weapons that could destroy dozens of human ships in seconds. Yet she did not flinch. Her squadron followed her movements perfectly, weaving through beams and debris, striking at weak points identified in Lucy's careful calculations. "Ready for the first strike," she said over the comms. Michael's voice came back steady. "Go for it. We've got your flank." Daniel was already working on the alien systems, sending confusing signals that made the flagship's sensors misread the human movements. Energy shields flickered as systems attempted to adjust to the chaos. "They won't know what hit them," he muttered. "Every hit we make counts. Stay sharp." Lucy continued to coordinate the fleet from the control center, her fingers moving quickly over holographic panels. North Squadron, intercept their reinforcements. South Squadron, take out weapon arrays. Emma, strike the engines when the opportunity comes. The humans attacked in waves. Small, fast crafts darted around the massive alien ship, striking weak points with laser precision. Each attack was coordinated, each movement calculated. The alien fleet attempted to counter, but Vrax's commanders were now hesitant, unsure of their own strategies, and many ships responded slowly. They had never faced an enemy that could move so unpredictably, so smartly, and yet so united. Emma's squadron reached the flagship's core. She dodged beams of red energy that could have torn her ship apart, firing precise shots that disabled several weapon systems. Sparks erupted from the hull, and alarms blared across the alien bridge. Vrax bellowed in anger, his claws slamming against the control console. Impossible. How are they so coordinated? They are only a few. How can they do this? His officers scrambled, panicked, attempting repairs and repositioning ships, but the humans pressed the advantage, relentless and unstoppable. James led the main fleet in a coordinated assault. Each ship took its position perfectly, following Lucy's instructions. They hit the alien shields, exploited weak points, and struck in ways that were unexpected. Even when a human ship was damaged, pilots used clever maneuvers to protect each other and continue the fight. Human teamwork and strategy overwhelmed sheer size and firepower. Every pilot knew that the smallest mistake could be deadly, but they trusted each other completely. On board the Defender, Daniel hacked deeper into the alien communication network. He sent false warnings, diverted reinforcements, and created chaos within the enemy ranks. Alien ships moved in confusion, sometimes firing at empty space, while humans struck true. They don't know what's real anymore, Daniel said quietly, watching enemy ships falter. Lucy continued guiding every movement, calm and precise. Now, everyone converge on the flagship. Time to finish this. Emma took a deep breath and led her squadron straight toward the engines of the flagship. The enemy fired everything they had, but human pilots moved as one, dodging attacks and countering with speed and accuracy. She fired precise shots that damaged the engines, causing the massive ship to lurch and shudder. Smoke and sparks flew from the alien vessel as systems failed one by one. Vrax's roar of disbelief echoed through the battlefield. No. This cannot be happening. They are not weak. The rest of the human fleet pressed their advantage. North and South squadrons targeted weapon arrays, while Michael's team disabled shield generators. The flagship, once thought invincible, now struggled to keep its defenses active. Smaller alien ships attempted to protect it, but the humans anticipated their movements. Every attack, every maneuver, and every calculation worked perfectly. The humans had turned their courage and unity into a powerful weapon that even Vrax could not counter. On Earth, people watched through satellites and communications feeds as the humans fought in the stars. Cities cheered silently, knowing that their defenders were achieving what once seemed impossible. Engineers repaired damage, scientists tracked movements, and citizens supported the human efforts in every way they could. Every small act mattered. Every human contributed, whether in space, on the ground, or behind the scenes. The flagship, crippled and unable to maintain its weapons and shields, was finally forced to retreat. The alien fleet, shaken and confused, began a slow withdrawal, leaving human ships victorious. Emma's squadron cheered over the comms, exhausted but triumphant. James allowed himself a small smile. "We did it," he said. "We forced them back. Humanity has won this battle." Vrax, defeated but alive, watched the retreating humans with a mix of fear and grudging respect. For the first time in his long career, he had faced an enemy that could outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight him. Humans were relentless, brave, and united. They had earned their place in the galaxy not through sheer firepower alone, but through courage, intelligence, and strategy. His arrogance had been replaced by fear, and even he could not deny the power of these humans. Back on Earth, James, Emma, Daniel, and Lucy gathered on the deck of the Defender, gazing up at the stars. The battles were over for now, and humanity had proven itself. No longer weak, no longer victims of a species that had assumed dominance, humans had changed the way the galaxy viewed them forever. Aliens recorded reports about Earth, recognizing a rising power that had fought back with courage and cleverness. Emma leaned against the railing, thinking about all the missions, the victories, and the sacrifices. "We did it," she said softly. "Not just for ourselves but for everyone who thought humans were weak. We showed them who we are." James nodded. "Yes. And the galaxy will remember this. Humanity has earned respect." Daniel and Lucy stood nearby, exhausted but proud. The engineers, hackers, and strategists had played as important a role as the pilots. Their intelligence and quick thinking had been vital in turning the tide of battle. "We really changed things," Daniel said. Lucy smiled. "We did more than survive. We proved that humans can think, plan, and fight together. That is something no one can ignore." Across the galaxy, other alien species took note. The reports of human victories, clever strategies, and unyielding courage spread rapidly. Many had underestimated Earth, assuming it would be conquered quickly. Now humans were seen as leaders and warriors, a species capable of planning, thinking, and winning against superior firepower. Even those who had once been enemies began to view humans with respect, acknowledging that Earth was no longer a planet to be dismissed. The celebrations among the human forces were quiet but filled with satisfaction. They had fought with courage, skill, and heart, and they had emerged victorious. The battle had shown not only their strength but also their unity and intelligence. Humanity had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed, not through sheer numbers or technology, but through courage, strategy, and clever teamwork. James, Emma, Daniel, and Lucy looked at the stars, realizing that this victory was more than just a fight won. It was a statement to the entire galaxy. Humans were no longer a species to underestimate. They had earned respect, changed perceptions, and established themselves as a force that could not be ignored. Humanity had fought back, and the universe would never forget it. Even as the alien fleet retreated, humanity prepared for the future. They had proven their strength, but they knew vigilance was necessary. The galaxy was vast and challenges would come again. Yet they also knew that they were ready. Earth was no longer a target to be conquered without consequence. Humanity had stood up, fought with courage, and forced the universe to take notice. The stars stretched endlessly above, but they now carried a new meaning for humanity. They were no longer distant, silent observers. They were witnesses to the rise of a species that had proven it could fight, think, and lead. James, Emma, Daniel, and Lucy understood that this was only the beginning, but it was a beginning that changed everything. Humanity had fought back. The galaxy had seen it. And from that day forward, Earth would be remembered as a planet that produced brave, intelligent, and unstoppable defenders. The humans had earned their place among the stars, and the universe would never forget it.